Hello, this is Jon Ericson, and this is the Admitted podcast, which is the official podcast for College Confidential. We are trying something new, and I'm going to be interviewing especially high school seniors who have recently gone through the college application process. And with me today, I have Shan. Why don't you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Hi. My name is Sean. I'm from Massachusetts. I just went through the application process this past fall, applied to a whole bunch of schools, got into my early decision school. I applied as a mechanical engineering major, and yeah. I also applied for the RTC, Air Force RTC, and a couple of the service academies as well.
Cool. So, what school did you get into that you said you'd early decisioned?
So I early decision Duke and got in there. Also got into a couple rollings, but then had to withdraw everything else. So
Yeah, sure. So let's talk about the early decision process. I know that starts early, obviously. So, what was
yes.
your thought process as you were going through that and deciding to apply to Duke early decision?
Yeah. So I sort of fell in love with Duke, probably middle of high school, and even though I had floated around the idea of maybe applying to a couple other schools early decision, I ended up settling on Duke because I really liked the environment there. I got the chance to go visit over the summer between junior and senior year, and everyone there was just really excited to be there. Kind of very energetic about the school, and it just seemed like such an inclusive environment. So I thought that was going to be a good fit. Kind of excited to be part of a school with such a big school spirit and basketball culture is something I was into as well.
Yeah, basketball is huge there. Obviously, is that so? You said you fell in love with it. Did you visit, or is it just based on other things?
Yeah, so I visited in late August. I didn't get to do a proper school tour, like official one, but my father and I walked around there, and I got to meet with the Air Force RTC detachment and like the leadership there. And it seemed like a pretty cool group.
Yeah. Do you mind if I ask if you got a scholarship with ROTC?
Yeah, so I applied for both Air Force and Army RTC. I got those results back actually before early decisions were due, and I got accepted into the scholarship program for both. So very excited about that.
Yeah, awesome. I did ROTC when I went to UCLA. I
Oh
dropped
wow.
out, so I didn't go all the way through the process. My dad was in the Air Force,
Oh,
but I did start with that. So
it's really cool actually.
so let's see. You visited Duke in August. Have they Did they start school by then, or was it still sort of dead from the summer?
I think everyone had already moved back in because there were definitely students, and I didn't quite know if they started class yet. It was like I think I got there. I want to say the 28th of August. So I think school had like started, but it would just been like the first couple days.
Yeah, cool. And obviously beautiful campus.
Hmm.
You got a chance to meet some people, and they were
Yeah.
great. Were there other aspects that attracted you to Duke?
I kind of also really like the surrounding areas, so we did stay in Durham. I know some people say it's a pretty rough area, but I ended up quite liking it. It's definitely different from Boston or any of the other bigger cities up here, but I really liked it.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great atmosphere, from what I understand.
Yeah.
So you told me before that you also applied to the service academies. Which service
Mhm.
academies did you apply to?
USAFA, so the Air Force Academy, and West Point.
Great, yeah. Do you have a connection, a military connection?
Not exactly. So my family's from Taiwan, so none of them have served in the American Army, or the U.S. military. My dad did have mandatory service, but
Sure.
otherwise no. Yeah.
Yeah, so you have a tiny flavor of what it was like. Cool. Um, well, I also applied to actually the Naval Academy and the Air Force Academy,
Mhm.
so I know a little bit about it. But can you tell folks what goes into this process? It's a little different from a regular application.
Yeah, so the process starts a lot earlier. So actually, I applied for their summer seminars, which those applications start in like December-ish. I think they're doing either December or like January. They're due really early, and so that was sort of like my first application. You fill out a bunch of basic information, do some essays, and then you get to go on campus basically for a week. You sort of get to tour a lot, and you get to do a lot of fun things. I highly recommend anyone who can do those do them. But that sort of gives them your first round of applications, and then after that, you sort of have to do the second, more formal application, which is again a couple essays, and then you had to do it's called the CFA, candidate fitness assessment, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just I think it's 2 minutes of push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, and then like a shuttle run and a mile, I believe. And so that there's some standards for those. You do that once at summer seminar or the summer leadership experience with West Point. But then, so you can qualify from that. I did not, so I had to do it again when I was at home. But that can be pretty difficult. So I would say start practicing for that as early as possible. And then after that, you also need to do interviews and a nomination from your either member of Congress, senators, or there's a couple other special ways of getting your nominations, but those are like the primary ways.
Did you end up getting a nomination?
I did. So I got one from the House of Representatives for me.
That's potentially it's potentially impressive depending on where you live, because if you're in an area
Yeah.
that has a lot of people who are trying to get into the service academies, that can be pretty impacted.
Yeah. So each person can only nominate 10 people from their region or their district or whatever. So it can be very competitive. I know, like, for instance, like certain areas in like New York, Virginia, Texas, probably New Jersey can have very competitive nomination slots.
Yeah. And did you get one for? Did you say both the Air Force Academy and Army, or just one?
For me, it was just one. So Massachusetts likes to what they call like spread the wealth. So
Yeah.
and everyone can only get one, which is a little unfortunate. But I did get my top choice, which is good.
Cool. When I was going through it, I remember there was also, in addition to the physical fitness test, there was also a physical. Did you go through that, or was that?
Oh, yeah. So Dodmer. I'm actually still in the process of going through that. It can be a very, very long process, so I definitely suggest starting that as early as possible. You have to fill out basically, get all your medical records from the moment you were born until the moment you're applying. And yeah, you do that. I just actually did my like the physical exam of that. I know I started this really late, but yeah, they basically it's like a very intense physical. They're really nice about it, or at least the people who did mine were really nice, but they check literally everything. And so, for instance, like every single scar on your body, they will need to go measure each one, even if it's only a couple millimeters long. So it can take quite a while. But yeah.
Yeah. So you went through all of that stuff for the Air Force Academy, and did you get accepted?
So actually, I got a what they call a letter of assurance from the Air Force Academy, but I had to withdraw my application to them. Like I couldn't officially accept that because I had gone into Duke ahead of time. Like I got into Duke before, so it's a little unfortunate, but
Yeah. I mean, it's impossible to get to get into all of the place, or to accept all of the places that you get into. If you get more than one, you still have to choose. They don't let you go to Duke and the Air Force Academy at the same time, unfortunately.
yeah.
Um, so how are you feeling about that? Is it a level of regret, or is the one good outweighing the disappointment?
I was definitely very, very heartbroken, especially in December when I found out. I think I found out like within like a day or two of getting into Duke. I found out that I got the letter of assurance to the Air Force Academy. So that was definitely kind of saddening. I think I've gotten over it by now. I'm really excited to get started in Durham in North Carolina. But I think part of me always will sort of be like, oh, what if I didn't?
Yeah, for sure. I applied and I missed the cut. There's several cuts along the way, and I missed the last one apparently. And so I did not go, but two of my brothers went. And when I look at their lives, I'm like, well, I missed out on something amazing, but I also didn't have to. There's a the basically the training is in what's called Jack's Valley, and they always are talking about Jack's Valley and how tough it was. I'm like, well, I guess I'll never know if I could have made it through that, but but on the other hand, I didn't have to. Um, Great. So I'm really excited about that you got into Duke and that you're excited about it too. You mentioned being interested in the basketball program that they've got, which is obviously excellent. What other things are you looking forward to next year?
So one of the other big things that drew me into Duke was their focus program. So basically, you get to take two smaller courses your freshman year, fall, and you basically focus on a specific topic. So I got into the global energy and like the future of the energy one. So that's I'm really excited for that because you get to being a pretty small class. It's a maximum of 18 students. So you get pretty close with your classmates, pretty close with the professors, which is something I'm really looking forward to. So probably that. Also, I'm sort of interested in looking into some of their clubs over there. One specific one that's not very unique to Duke, but it's robotics. I never got a chance to do robotics at my school,
Oh,
so I'm kind of excited to do it over there. So yeah.
yeah, it's those are amazing opportunities when you have a chance to do something like that that you may never get another chance in your life except for the short few years that you've got at college.
Mhm.
Um, are you? Uh, what's your living situation going to be? Moving to the dorms?
Yeah, yeah. So Duke has you stay on campus minimum 3 years. So
Oh,
I'll be living there for a bit.
yeah. Um, do you like? Have you gotten a roommate yet, or is that still? I suppose that's still coming up.
Yeah, no. Those are room assignments. I think they said was like June 15th. But yeah, haven't. They do completely randomize it. So
Okay.
yeah.
How are you feeling about the sort of onboarding process you've started with Duke?
I mean, at the moment, I'm sort of just excited. They have something called like the Blue Book that hasn't come out yet. So technically, we haven't really started any of the onboarding bits yet. But I'm really excited for that to get started. I've actually been looking a lot into like the classes I can be taking for the next couple years and trying to line everything up, sort of see how the professors are, and it's really, really exciting time for me. So
Um, let's see. So you're starting in the fall. They're having you live on campus for a while.
yeah.
Um, let's see. Do you do you feel like the academics are? Do you think that the academics are going to be difficult, or have you kind of a feel for that at all, or is it just see how it goes?
Think it's gonna be sort of see how it goes. I actually have been looking a little bit online as like the professors and stuff like, and I found one of the professors who teach the linear algebra course, and I've been sort of watching through his videos on YouTube. He seems to be really engaging, great teacher. So yeah, that's definitely made me really excited. And obviously, being mechanical engineering, a lot of classes are going to be tougher, but I think that's part of the beauty of being able to go to college is to sort of experience that, to sort of see that difficult courses, and I'm really excited to getting to that and challenge myself through those.
Yeah, it's funny because I was thinking, well, how would you figure out what your professors are like? And when I was going to school, the only way you could do it would be to find someone who had taken the class the previous semester or the previous
Mhm.
quarter. But I guess things have changed since then. Like, do you use Rate My Professor at all?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I've been flipping through that.
And then until you'd mentioned it, I hadn't thought. Well, you could probably find a lot of professors on YouTube. Is it lectures that you're seeing, or is it other sort of side projects?
It's his lectures. He seems to be posting like all his lectures on YouTube, which is nice.
Yeah, I mean, you could take all the class before you even start the semester, right?
Yeah,
just
yeah,
do
get
homework.
ahead.
Never would have thought that. I mean, back in my day. um, well, great. So, do you have any advice for like? I want to dig in a little bit on the early decision. What would be your advice for people deciding whether or not to even apply early decision?
I'd say really do your research. I know a lot of people want to early decision because, people say, oh, it's got a higher acceptance rate. And while that is true, I definitely wouldn't base my early decision on just the fact that the chances are higher. I think really do your research. Really make sure that you do the expected family contribution, and like make sure you can afford it. Because I've
Mm,
seen online, especially, a lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh, I can't afford this. What am I gonna do?" So do your research. Really look into why you want to go to the school, and then if you end up deciding that, yeah, this school is definitely for me, then yeah, apply early decision. And if that's not the case, then maybe try to apply early action or even just regular decision. If you aren't 100% sure that's the school for you, because as I said, part of me in December did sort of regret early decisioning when I got into USAFA, and even though I did end up getting over it, I definitely can kind of relate to like that regret right afterwards. It's like, wow, this happened, but then like, oh, now I have to give up this. So I think definitely know the consequence of early decision. Make sure you understand it fully before you commit to that.
yeah. Um, had you picked out other schools that were potential besides the academies and Duke?
Um, to be honest, I mean I floated around a couple different schools from time to time. Um, like like Yale, Brown, some even like even some other schools. But I don't think I don't think I really clicked with any of the other schools I really looked into as much as I did with Duke. So
Did you visit other places, or was Duke the main place you'd visited?
I mean I've been to a lot of the college campuses in New England, or at least some of the bigger schools in New England. So I sort of had seen other campuses and stuff. I didn't really go out of my way to travel too much though. So like I know some of my friends were flying out to like Pennsylvania, California to go visit schools, but I never really did that.
Yeah. So I guess one advantage of getting accepted early decision is you don't have to apply to a bunch of other schools. You don't have to
Yeah,
stress out about that.
yeah, that was definitely a relief to sort of be like, okay, we can relax and sort of just get through senior year without the added stress of having to apply to even more schools, and also save money on all those applications because that's expensive.
It adds up real quick, doesn't it?
Oh yeah,
Even if you don't go to, if you're not serious about them, what's the point of spending the money?
yeah, exactly.
I had a question that just slipped my mind. So you obviously got into two really uh, good schools in Duke and the Air Force Academy. Uh, what do you feel like? Like, did you expect to get into them, or was it a surprise in each case?
I mean, it was definitely a surprise in both cases. I mean, I don't. I mean, with schools that are so selective, so I've seen online, so rejective. I don't think it's anyone really goes into it thinking like, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna go in. Um, I I would say that probably the thing that I would say probably got me that extra boost I needed was probably the Air Force RTC thing as far as Duke goes, because I know a lot of kids who were, even at my school, who were like probably even more qualified than me, who didn't get in. Um, so
Hmm.
yeah, I think, I mean, I think a lot of it also comes down to luck and sort of things that we can't control. But
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. You never know what connection people will make with your story that
Mhm.
you can't predict in advance because you don't know who's going to be, looking at your application, right? So,
Exactly.
yeah. Well, let's see. I think we're pretty much wrapping up with time. Is there anything else you wanted uh, to say to folks? If you want to plug something, I need to remember to let people plug if they've got some website or social media or any other
Um,
last minute thoughts.
I don't have any plugs. But I guess some advice for underclassmen is, I mean, you see all the time people say, don't do things just for college apps. And that is true. But I also know that as a younger high schooler, I didn't listen to any of that advice. So instead, I guess my advice is, if you are going to do something, do it to its fullest. Explore it fully. Don't just scratch the surface and be like, okay, I did that. I checked that off. Really get into it. Really talk to the people there. And I think that's one of the reasons why I managed to do so much during high school, was because anytime I did end up starting something, I made sure I put my all into it, and I made sure I talked to people, made sure I sort of branched out and explored it as much as I possibly could. Um, yeah, I think that's about it.
Well, excellent. I really enjoyed having this conversation. I agree with you fully. To just put yourself into these things, even if it is just for a college application. Like, experience as much as you can, and I'm
Yeah.
glad to have had this time to talk. And we'll see you around.
See you.